Welcome! In this video we start framing, laying out walls, measuring, snapping lines, and installing the bottom plate. A standard 2x4 is 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Typically I measure 4.5 inches from the foundation. This allows for some distortions in the foundation wall. I measure and mark the floor, then using a 1/8 drill bit in my hammer drill, I drill a hole for a 16-penny nail to act as an anchor point for my snap line. Then mark the other end of the wall, set the nail, stretch out the chalk line, reach towards the center, pull up and snap the line. Here I'm laying out the closet. Closets are 24 inches deep in the finish. The frame needs to allow for the drywall, 1/2 inch on each side. 1/2 inch times 2 is 1 inch. So the frame wall needs to be 25 inches in separation in the rough, or 28.5 inches from the wall to the front side of the closet. Now this closet has a double 30-inch swinging door, so our closet door is 60 inches wide, plus 2 inches for the jamb and shimming. That's 1.5 inches for the jambs and 1/2 inch for the shims. So I'm marking 62 inches for the rough opening. From my door rough opening to the end of the corner is 7.5 inches. At the waistline cleanout, I measure 1/4 inch back from the outer edge of the cleanout. Then from that mark, I measure to the foundation wall. Then take that measurement down to the floor and measure out and establish the corner. I drilled an 1/8 inch hole for my 16-penny nail. Stretch out the line, and mark the other side. Snap the line for the wall. Once you have all your lines established, it's now time to set your bottom plate. I measure from the existing frame wall to the corner line. Select a pressure-treated 2x4. On the 2x4, I measure the length of the wall plus 3.5 inches. I mark and square and cut to length. At the left end of the 2x4, I measure in 3.5 inches. Then an additional 1.5 inches for the corner stud. Then from the 3.5 inch corner mark, I measure out 15 1/4, 31 1/4, 47 1/4, 63 1/4, and so on. I'm trying to establish a 16-inch on-center layout. Some builders like to use power nails, or a nail shot from a special gun through the plate into the concrete. I have found that often a power nail will split the 2x4, creating a weak point. Here is an example of the nail splitting the bottom plate. When it comes to short blocks or short bottom plates, the power nail will definitely split them. I prefer bolts. Now, to keep the bolts from interfering with the studs, I measure in between the center of the studs and then mark out 32 inches on center. And pre-drill a 3/8 hole. I scrub off the debris from the back side. I use the square and mark across the bottom plate on the stud layout. This will help with keeping the stud square to the bottom plate. Now change out the hammer drill's 1/8 inch bit to the 3/8 bit. Line up the plate to the snap line and drill the hole. It's a good idea to dump out the tub of redhead bolts with its washers and nuts onto the floor. Then install the washers and nuts onto the bolt. This makes it easier as you go along. Place the nut so it's about 1/8 of an inch lower than the top of the bolt. This will keep the threads from becoming damaged as you drive the bolt into the concrete. Then tighten it down with the wrench. Continue this process throughout your project until you have all the bottom plates installed. When it comes to short bottom plates, I like to put glue in between the concrete floor and the plate before bolting it down. This will help keep the bottom plate from twisting. Here I'm using a 4-foot level to keep these bottom plates in alignment. Be sure to go through your project and tighten down all of the nuts on the bolts. Here I'm cutting this bottom plate around for the waistline. In the next video, I will be covering lateral block framing, draft stops, and top plates in preparation for wall framing. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell and keep up to date with all my posts. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a tremendous day. See you next time.